Welcome to Black Expat Stories, the show where we dive deep into the experiences of Black people across the diaspora who have boldly decided to move abroad in search of a better life. I'm your host, Courtney Bowden, and I'm a Black American writer who also took the leap of faith and moved overseas. In this episode, I'm joined by the incredible Jas McNeil. She's a Florida native breaking barriers as the first Black woman to own a recording studio in Mexico. She's the founder of the Haus of Vibes, a co-working and recording space located in Playa Del Carmen. Jas generously shares the ups and downs of her journey abroad and how she transformed her dream of providing spaces for creatives into a history-making reality. We're on location at the Haus of Vibes, and this is my conversation with Jas McNeil.
So you told me that Atlanta was the place that inspired this space. So take me back to what your life was like before you became an expat.
Okay. Atlanta was the inspiration for a lot of things, but the moment that happened in Atlanta was the inspiration for me to move. I was in a really bad place. I'm not gonna lie, I was in a really bad place in life. At that point in time, I had been an entrepreneur or attempting to be a full-time entrepreneur for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I quit my job a while ago, and something in spirit just told me, like, girl, this ain't you, give it up, go do your own thing. And in that moment I was feeling inspired, but I kept going. It was never a moment where I was so down and out that I couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
So
and what were you doing, like, as you were in this entrepreneurial journey?
It was trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I knew I had a gift. I knew I had a calling. I just didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And it was the start of that journey of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I knew that corporate wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted to live, nor was that something that I had inspired to be in for a long period of time. But I always knew I had the spirit of an entrepreneur. So it was just me taking that first risk of, like, just go and do it. My original plan was to start, most entrepreneurs, when we get started, we feel like our idea is the best idea, and we gonna make so much money off of
This is the money maker here.
This is the money maker. This is it. And entrepreneurship definitely humbled me very quickly.
It has a way of doing that.
Very much so. And I've experienced it firsthand. So life just went on. I was kind of like doing odd jobs. My background was accounting.
Okay.
And I had my CPA at that point. So I was just working, odd jobs, contract jobs, working with small entrepreneurs and small businesses and things like that. So I had got to a point where I knew life was about to take a drastic turn for me because I almost lost my house. I almost lost my car. And I was actually, I had been living in my house for a while with no lights, just out there thugging it with candles and stuff. And I had a friend who came over, and I was always that type of person. I was like, let me get them all out before.
Yeah.
And he actually ended up staying around. He was like, are you here with no lights? And I was like, yeah. So he called his mom. He was like, me and his family was pretty close at that point in time. He called his mom. He was like, yeah, Mom, Jas kind of going through it right now, can she come stay with us for a little bit? And so what was supposed to be a little bit ended up turning into a year. My family at that point in time, they wasn't very supportive of my choices in life. Not saying that they totally neglected me, but they wasn't embracing the journey that I was trying to, because they didn't see the end goal. So that turned into me working for a company called Rap Plug, which is crazy because the guy who actually is like the CEO of Rap Plug, he was my roommate at one point. And, to see him grow and establish his business, it inspired me. So I started working for him, as his assistant, pretty much doing anything, his finances, his, being an assistant, whatever I could, because he was a startup at that point. And I also was working at the most ghettoest,
capital G,
ghetto, club. I was an assistant manager at a club. And that was kind of like my odd jobs. It comes around like April. That was around the time when we got the stimulus check. And when I got it, I sat there with it for a while. I was like, all right, I haven't seen that much money in my possession for a while. So it was just like, all right, Jasmine, what are you going to do with it? And I just came up with the idea, like, I'm going to go somewhere I want to go. That was the original part. I was like, let me use this check, because we were still in lockdown at that point.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to use this check. When we open back up, that's when they were talking about opening back up in May. I was like, let me use this check to do what I want to do. I was like, look, if we're going to be on lockdown again, let me go lock down somewhere where I want to be. So I was like, all right, I'll go out of the country. The original plan was Colombia, but Colombia was completely shut down at that point. So I did my research and I ended up finding out that Mexico was open.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to my friend. He had never been out of the country before. And I was like, bro, let's go to Mexico for 30 days. He was like, what? In the middle of the pandemic? I was like, yeah. I was like, it's open. We could go. He was like, I don't know about that, Jazz. He was like, the COVID thing is really serious out there. And I was just like, what's the risk that we gonna take? 9 in 10 chances they gonna shut it down because everybody done been inside, so people about to go crazy, and they gonna shut it down again. I was like, would you rather be shut down by the beach? And he was like, all right.
You made a really compelling case.
Yes,
you
I did.
had to ask me twice.
I ain't gonna lie. I didn't have to try hard because he was down for it. We were both in the same situations in our lives. We were trying to figure things out. We knew we were very creative and we were natural leaders, but it was just figuring it out.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I was like, all right, let's go away for 30 days and figure out what we want to do. Like, whatever that is, let's plan it out, let's write it out, and then we come back and we take action. Cool. So we book our flights. We tell his mom. His mom was not for it. She cussed both of us out. I want to say she gave
What was her
us.
hesitation?
It was because it was the pandemic. It was literally the middle of the pandemic. Like, this is around the time where the world was completely shut down. And here I was coming up with that bright idea to go out of the country, not up the street, not to the state across, out the country. So it was, to her, she was like, y'all crazy.
Yeah.
Like, do y'all realize what's going on in the world and y'all want to go out of the country? She just wasn't supportive of it. So we made our plans and we booked our flights and we got our Airbnb. We decided to settle in Tulum.
Okay.
And this is before Tulum was Tulum. Like, this was like when Tulum was real local. It wasn't built out as much as it was before. So we get on the plane, we fly out May 1st, the day that Atlanta opened back up. We fly out. And we get there, and it was like, it took a while for it to hit me because I had been walking without guidance or without like a goal for so long. It was just something else to do for me in that moment. And so we get to Mexico. I almost didn't get in. The reason why I got in was I told them that I was a real estate developer, and I was coming here to buy land. And they went back and forth with me at customs, just like, but why now? Like, why do you want to be here now? But the reason why I got through, because he got through before me, and I was like, well, I'm with him. It was like, all right, fine. So 30 days go by, we're exploring. It really wasn't much to do. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
What did you expect?
I expected to be by the beach having margaritas, but Policia was tripping and saying that we couldn't go to the beach. So, and then everything literally in Tulum was shut down. Like, no restaurants were open. We end up finding out how we could actually get food outside of OXXO and in street food through a local, and we were ordering out and ordering through their like delivery service and stuff like that. And it was still locked down. It was like being back at home, but you were in a foreign country. But we made do. We whatever we could do, we did. We hung out with the locals. We went places that we never would have went. And then one of the locals actually told us to go and check out Playa. He's like, it's a little bit more active. It's more things to do there. So we came to Playa for like a week, and I fell in love with it. I was like, thank you, people. That was really the thing. It was like, people, it's active, it's a little bit more upbeat. And once we came down to Playa, we both decided, all right, we just gonna stay. And at that point in time, I hadn't made a decision on what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to go back home. And so that became my motivator. Like, all right, Jasmine, figure it out so that you could stay, you can maintain yourself. My mama gonna kill me because this is not the story that she know.
Sorry, Mom.
She gonna kill me. Yeah, well, I'm 32 and I was still lying to my mama about where I be at. You know, I be grown, but we all got that fear of our mama. You know, it still is all in that way. She got a whole different story, but she got over it. So once I came back, once we finally decided, okay, we gonna come here. At that time I was getting unemployment and I was working as an assistant. What put a fire up under my ass was I got fired because I wouldn't go back to Atlanta. And I was like, all right, what I got in my account? How can I make this stretch and how long I got before I can get this shit going? And then was birthed Playa Noir. Playa Noir was my very, very first venture that I did before anything else. It was me creating events for Black and brown people because I saw the lack of culture as far as our culture out here. So I started to throw events. Like I've done like hip hop beach parties. I was into the yacht space. I had planned like gatherings and get-togethers. I've even gotten with some of the other local expats, and we would do give backs and things like that. So Playa Noir became very active here in Playa as far as amongst like the local community.
Okay.
And so I did that for a while. You know, things started to work out for me. My accounting business had picked up at that point because, you know, everybody got money. PPP was a thing then. So everybody had money to invest in themselves, invest in their business. So I was doing really good. I was doing really, really good. It got to a point where I felt accomplished with what I was doing, but I knew it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing.
What gave you that feeling? Like you knew you were doing something to maintain, right? Mm-hmm. But what did you feel was missing?
I didn't feel complete.
Okay.
I still felt like there was something else for me. I kept getting that feeling. No matter how much money I made, no matter how many connections I made, no matter how successful Playa Noir was, it was like, but this ain't it. I kept getting that, this ain't it though. So I had a dream. And it was a shift. I didn't realize in that moment that was a shift, but it was a shift. And it was me in this. It was House of Vibes.
Wow.
And I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I didn't know. At that point in time, things had slowed down a little bit, and you know, I was trying to figure out my passion because I didn't want to keep investing my time into something that I knew wasn't my passion or my calling. So I kind of stepped back from it a little bit. Okay. And you know, from between prayer and talking to spirit, it was just like, I tell me what I need to be doing because I'm in a space where I want to do it and it's time for me to do it. So tell me what I need to do it. So I eventually had this dream about House of Vibes. And do I tell you?
Please tell me about it. I want to know, and I think other people want to know what that dream was like.
This is. Did I tell you the dream before?
You told me about it before, and you painted a real yes.
Yeah. Okay. I could be a little bit more detailed this time. So this dream, it was a hotel, and crazy enough, Courtney, you're the first person to really hear this side of the story. It was a hotel, and I was in the midst of the hotel, and it was beautiful. Oh my goodness, it was beautiful. It was colorful. It was artsy, and it was people from all over the world. It was musicians over here, artists over here, dancers up there, people singing, people rapping, people creating beats, and it was levels of it. And right at the top of it said House Vibes. Now, mind you, I've never had any interest in starting a hotel business, let alone out of the country, let alone in the artistic sector. Like, it was never something that crossed my mind. I've always been a creative, but I never thought that creativity was the thing for me.
Yeah.
Right? So I woke up, I wrote it down. I woke up and I wrote it down. I was like, look, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, because I started looking up hotels, and they like in the millions.
Yeah.
I was like, baby, I barely got 1/8 of that in my account. So I said, see, I know you heard me, but come on now, work with me. And I started to get with friends. I started to brainstorm, like, okay, how can I fund this, or how can I make it happen? Because I knew it was tangible because it came to me. And I really had, I really felt like, all right, this is it. Like, it connected with me so much that it lingered with me after I had the dream. And so I got with friends. I had hit some friends up in Atlanta. I was like, look, y'all, I had this dream. I want to do this and this and this. I was like, all right, bet, let's do it, cool. You know, they was like, let's get some money together to get it started. So I had a friend that I've known for a while. I met him, you know, back in like 2014 or 15. He was in the capital funding business. And, you know, I originally was reaching out to him to ask him, how can I start a capital funding, you know, business or a company? And he was like, well, tell me what you're working on. So I had went down a list of things that we had came up with to kind of make money and all those other things. And then I brought up the hotel, and he immediately became interested in it. And he was like, so how far have you gotten with this hotel? And I was like, I haven't really gotten far. I'm really trying to just find some funding to support it or whatever. And he was like, you know, would you want, you know, is it okay if I kind of come on to this project? And I was like, yeah, cool. So, you know, over time we're talking and we're going back and forth. We went to go see this hotel in Isla Mujeres. The original idea was to put it in Isla Mujeres. And the reason why we wanted to, because I'm a woman. Isla Mujeres is an island of women. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of like a whole coordination with it. And that's supposed to be like the inspiration behind it, all of those things. It was going great. We were at the table and it completely fell through because they didn't have their end done, from like being behind on taxes to not having the property. It was more like legal stuff that they didn't have together, or they didn't have themselves situated. It broke my heart. Oh, I cried for days because I had put so much into it.
And how long have you been working on this?
Oh man, that was like, we were like 6 or 7 months in at that point.
Yeah, that's skin in the game. Man.
Yeah, and it was money invested, it was time invested. Like it was such a disappointment to me. And you know, he was very encouraging. He was like, you know, don't worry about it. He was like, you know, we'll find new investors, we'll keep going, blah blah blah. And so, you know, once I kind of got over the notion of it not being successful, I was like, all right, I still feel that fire, you know, to keep going after it. So I was like, okay, let me bring it to Playa. And I found this place in Playa. And this time I was like, all right, Jasmine, don't get too invested, because if it failed, it was going to break me completely. Yeah. So found a perfect place. It wasn't as big as the hotel that we saw in Isla Mujeres, but it was perfect. And so we started going through construction. We started getting with developers. We came up with the whole thing. Like I had a whole vision. Like I shroomed. And I just saw it, and I drew it out, and the developer or the architect, whatever you call him, contractor, he came up with exactly what I saw.
Oh, so he captured it.
Yes. And so I was like, all right, this is gonna happen. Same thing. It fell through. And so at that point, I had come so invested in the brand and the name and in seeing it through, I was like, all right, let me scale back. So things got slow between me and my business partner. We're business partners at this point. Things started to get like a little bit slow between us. You know, conversations wasn't really happening like that. We wasn't really talking about it anymore. So it diverted me from focusing on it. So now I felt like I was back in survival mode. So, you know, I started doing odd things just to get by and things like that. And he hits me up one random night. It was late. It was like maybe sometime like 11, maybe 2, somewhere around there. It was late. It was late. And, you know, he sparks up a conversation like it's 11 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, yeah. So he was like, you still want to do House of Vibes? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you know, I still gotta look for a hotel and stuff like that. Now, at this point in time, we had already agreed that we was gonna scale back. We was gonna turn it into what it is today. Not exactly what it is today, but something similar to it. It was supposed to be like a co-working / like hookah lounge type feel. And he was like, so I got some investors that are interested in doing the hotel part. I was like, okay, cool. He was just like, but yeah, we need to show proof first. So he was like, you got 30 days. All right, I'm gonna call you later. I'm gonna talk to you.
30 days to do
30
what?
days. 30 days for me to open it up.
Wow.
I had 30 days. 30 days. And I was like, hold on. I was like, wait. Hold on, what do you mean?
Like, run that back.
He was like, all right, I'm gonna hit you up tomorrow. He was like, I gotta bail. I'm gonna hit you up tomorrow. And I just sat there. Like, he hung up the phone and I just kind of sat there. I was like,
how did you feel in that moment?
I was confused. If anything, I was like, it was like a what? Like, yeah. It was like, what's going on? Like, it was hard to process. It's late at night. 1, I was on my way to bed. And then 2, it was the way he dropped it on me. Yeah. It wasn't like this and this and that, da. He was like, yeah, 30 days. So I got on it. I was like, and before that, I was praying. I was like, Spirit, whatever I got to do, whatever it takes. I mean, at this point, I'm begging you to guide me in where I need to go. And she did. She was like, you want this?
Oh, word? I got you. Here you go.
There you go. And so 30 days started. I actually did something that I normally don't do. That's why I was like, all right, I know I'm on the right path. I filmed the entire process.
I remember seeing stuff as you were on the road to opening this place up.
It was a lot of up and downs. It was a great journey, though. It was a great journey. I even look back at it now and get emotional because it's just like, see where you come from and see where you're at. You always need those sort of reminders.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I took the time out to actually show my process.
Yeah.
And so from this being just a shell to me going to buy things, to me getting things, to me doing the, social media, the website, like everybody, you could see it all. When I had bad days, when I had good days, it was all there. So it's the week of our grand opening and my business partner comes down. And, it's natural, right? We're about to open a business. You come down, you celebrate. We go throughout the week, getting things done, buying things, doing like the last minute things. The night before I opened, he felt the pressure. And in that moment when it was happening, I didn't understand it. But now, like later on, I actually processed it. It's a difference when you support something and you put the sweat equity into something. Mm-hmm. You have 2 different views on whatever it is that you both are focusing on. And he was always involved, but he was never really thoroughly active. Like, he wasn't moving and shaking like I was. And so, mind you, nothing was in here. Nothing in here was done. We didn't have no furniture. We didn't have nothing up. We didn't paint anything. Like, I could understand now his fear of like, we pushing it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, let's cancel it. Said cancel.
So it was his idea to cancel.
It was his idea to cancel.
Okay.
He was like, let's cancel it. He was like, we're not ready. It's not done. You talking about having this thing at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's midnight at this point. And we going back and forth for like an hour or 2. And I'm like, well, if you stop talking to me, and I can go and do what I need to do. And, it was very emotional for me because in my mind, he didn't realize how much time and effort I had put in over the last 30 days to really get this through. And I became discouraged. And I was like, all right, cool. We're not going to open. And I posted it. I said, the grand opening is postponed. I ain't never had my phone blowing up as much as it did that night. Calls, texts, Instagram. I mean, my phone, it got to the point where I had to cut my phone off.
Wow.
Because it was also a realization, because I was like, people were really looking forward to this. And I allowed the thought of somebody else's point of view to discourage me from actually, rewarding myself for the sweat equity that I put in. So I slept through it or whatever. And, it's the next morning. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And Jason hits me up. And he was like, "Where you at?" I was like, I'm in bed. And he was just like, "Well, you gotta get up. We got a grand opening to do." And I was like, "I'm not doing no grand opening." I posted it. I was like, I'm gonna postpone it. Like, my business partner don't think that I'm ready. And he was just like, "Jasmine, all this work you done put in for the last 30 days, you just gonna let it go off of somebody's word?" He said, "Get up." He said, "I'm gonna meet you at House of Vibes in 30 minutes. And in that moment, I was so stubborn. I was like, "Well, I'm gonna get up and go just show him it ain't gonna happen." Like, it was,
because you knew what had not been done, right? Yeah.
So we get here. He gets me Starbucks or whatever, and he was like, "Call everybody you can and tell them to meet you here." And I was like, in my mind, I'm still in the mode of discouragement. It's like, just wasting our time. And I was like, this ain't gonna do nothing but disappoint me even more. So I called all my friends, like all the friends that I could call. Whoever answered, they showed up immediately. We got this place together in 3 hours. Everything, the furniture came in time. We got all the decorations up in time. We fixed everything up, and I couldn't believe it. Like, one, how people showed up for me when I needed them the most, and then two, that I actually did it. And so what went from being postponed to maybe weeks later was now postponed just a couple of hours. So we end up opening it up at 1. So now my fear was nobody's gonna show up. I done went, I've been postponed. No, we open. No, it was like that. And when I tell you the community showed up and showed out, I was so filled with joy. That was my first time feeling that type of joy and support.
Wow.
In like all of my life. And it also showed him what we were doing, what we were investing is something that was needed. Because for us to have a situation less than 12 hours before that wasn't going to happen, all of a sudden happened, and it's beyond the expectation that we thought it would be. And so we went throughout the day. We I was living in that moment. I was really accepting in that moment how many people came, and it wasn't just Black people. I had people that I didn't even know that came out and supported. Like,
wow.
I mean, pivotal people in the community, like Rodrigo. That was my first time meeting Rodrigo. He's the founder of Expat. And I met his friend. I met this dude named Alex, who was like a big time producer in the music industry. And they all said they saw it online. It was like, we saw it online and we figured we'd pull up. And people were so like thrilled and like in awe of the space. And so, we go through the motions or whatever, and, that day goes by and I get home and I have a moment to sit with it. And the emotional, it was a really beautiful moment for me because it's playing back, it's playing back all those times I told myself that I couldn't do it. And it's playing back all those times where I was like, is this really going to happen one day? And to see manifestation happen and to know that what you are called to do is, thank you. What you're called to do is happening. It's happening. I've never felt so full in that moment by myself. It was nobody moment to share, but with me and myself.
Yeah.
And I knew what I was capable of after that. I knew I was unstoppable. I knew I started, that was the moment, that was confirmation for me to step into my power.
So that moment shifted something inside of you.
Huge shift.
And made you believe in yourself even more.
Huge shift.
That's amazing.
Huge shift. And it was literally like, I'm capable of doing whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
I went from living with a friend's mom, working at a ghetto ass fucking bar, to owning my own business out of the country. the hardest part about that process was saying yes to doing it. That was the hardest part. Even the worst moments, even us not getting a hotel and us not, you know, falling through on a couple of times, the worst moment, the biggest fear was saying, I'm gonna do it.
And often that really is
That's the hardest part.
the hardest part.
That's
is
the
saying
hardest
yes
part.
to yourself, yes to your visions, and yes to your dreams. So talk to me a little bit about how the name came about. How did you decide on the House of Vibes?
It was in a dream.
And so you saw it like this.
I saw it like this. Well,
Wow.
originally there was a lady who actually inspired me to change house, the way I spelled house.
Okay.
Originally it was like a house, and I was like, I wanted to be different, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, I had went back and forth. I had left. It was at one point in time during our process that we were trying to change the name completely from House of Vibes, but it just stuck with me. It was like
Something about it.
it was something about it. I was like, I don't know why I got to stick to this, but I just need to. And there was actually a German lady who helped me inspire it to spell it that way.
That is a German spelling.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was like, you should
wow.
spell it like this. I was like, it's kind of sexy too. Like, you know? And so that's where it became. It wasn't like she just, like, this wasn't even a lady that I really, really knew. Like, I
Yeah.
had met her in passing, and, you know, I was telling her about, you know, it was like one of them things where we see each other, we catch up with each other. And she was like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm about to start this business, you know, called House of Vibes, and I'm like in this space where I'm trying to figure out the name and stuff like that. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, that sounds pretty cool. And I was like, but it's not, it ain't giving me the pizzazz that
It's not giving what it's supposed to give.
It's not giving it. And she was like, well, you could just spell it like house like we do. And I was like, well, I don't know what that means. She was like, oh, she wrote it down.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's how we spell house. And I looked at it and I wrote a vibes next to it. And I was like,
You like the look of it.
I did.
Yeah.
And I sat with it for a while and I was like, that's it. That's it. And it was one of those moments, like, I don't know if you ever experienced when you just like, you contemplating about something so much and then it's just that moment, like, it's just like, all right,
clicked.
that's it. It's a click. It was like, all right, that's it. And so here we are.
House of Vibes.
House
now
of
we
Vibes.
are in
We are in
the House of
Vibes.
Vibes.
Yeah, we're here.
Like something that you dreamed about, we're sitting here and talking about now.
Yeah.
How does that feel for you?
It's unreal. Sometimes I sit in this place late nights and just I read all of the notes and all the things that people say about this space, and I contemplate on all the things that we've done here, the people we've influenced, you know, the safe space that we have created for creatives. And if I have to be honest, it hasn't 100% hit me. Like, I know it's there. I know it's happening. But I think it's because I know where it's going. I know where it's going. And I'm very proud of it. This is my baby. Like, I tell
You should be
people all the
proud.
time,
This
my
is a
baby.
beautiful space.
Thank you.
And the community needs it. As a matter of fact, one of the things that really drew me to Playa was the community here. Because you were here before I got here.
Yeah, I came here May 1st, 2020.
Okay. And see, I came here May 1st, 2021.
See? Look at this. Look at this.
So I was really surprised by the community, like us. We were here strong. And then I was also really surprised and delighted to see the creative community here, you know? And I didn't realize that Playa was such a right place for creatives to come.
It is.
So I've been having these conversations with so many people, so many expats, and I do believe there's a great migration happening. I don't know what you've seen in the conversations that you've had, but I'm curious to know what word of advice you would give to people who are thinking about making a move like this. I'm sure that as an expat, people find out that you're an expat, they find out you're living in another country, they're curious about how that is, how you're able to do it, right? And are maybe contemplating doing it themselves. So what word of advice would you give to people who are thinking about taking a leap like you did and coming to another country?
Take the risk. Take the risk. Like I said, the hardest part about making a decision that's going to change your life is making a decision. That's the hardest part. At least, you know, from what I've seen and what I've experienced. Believe in yourself. In the moments of hesitation is the most time when you need to trust your intuition. You need to trust yourself. Because nobody knows you like you know you, right? Nobody knows what you're capable of doing like you know what you're capable of doing. Even though my ideal wasn't to become an expat, it ended up being that. I had thought for years, I want to travel the world, I want to move out of the country, like for years. But to me it was untangible. Like, but it took a world-ending pandemic to inspire me to do something crazy enough to come out here to just get an experience, to figure it out, to end up living here and living the life that I've worked for.
Yeah.
And every time I go back and I was like, Jasmine, what would you be? Just sometimes I have those moments like, where would you be? What would you be if you didn't make that decision? And I realized back then I was just be in a cycle. And it's really, that's all it is. You just gotta do it. If you think of it, no matter how crazy it is, the hardest part about the journey that you're going to take is making that decision to do it.
Yeah, that first step.
Whatever you're trying to get to, you're going to go through waves to get there, regardless. You're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times, you're going to have joy, you're going to have pain. Like it comes with the territory, right?
Yeah. That's some good advice.
Yeah, it's the truth. Like, just do it.
That's
Believe
real.
in it and stick to it. Stick to it.
Because people will try to talk you out of it, right?
You're going to have people that
along
try to talk
the
you
way.
out. And it's not that they're being devious about it or that they trying to be discouraging. It's just that everybody ain't got your vision.
Right.
Everybody can't see things the way that you see them.
Right.
So what may be big to somebody else is a passion for you. Or what may be like too much to obtain or you doing too much may be just the right path for you.
Right.
So you got to believe in yourself. Even sometimes you got to block things out. Like if it ain't supporting what you're trying to do, take it with a grain of salt and keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
So this expat experience that you've had, the life that you live now is radically different than before you got here. So talk to me about how this experience has been for you. Often I talk to other expats and some key things that come up are like the freedom that we feel, the healing that we undergo, and the belonging that we kind of create here. And you are responsible for that in part by literally carving out a space for people to belong and to be themselves and to express themselves. So how have you been able to do that throughout your expat experience? Find that freedom, that healing, and that belonging?
For me, my expat experience ended up being learning who I am. I realized living here and moving the way that I was moving or am moving, that what I thought of who I thought I was just a combination of what other people told me to be. It was never Jasmine. So here I am in another country by myself, and I have nothing but room and opportunity to figure out who Jasmine was. And it started off by like things that I normally would do, I no longer felt comfortable doing. So I was like, all right, it's time to rediscover Jasmine. It's time to figure out, what does Jasmine like to do? Or what don't I like? You know, what do I have a passion for? What makes me happy? And it's a journey of self-discovery for me. And even when I create this place, it's intentional for it to be a safe place for creatives to discover themselves. This is where you can grow. This is where you can develop. And it's a place where you don't have to feel like you're in a shell and nobody supports you, or, you know, you feel like what you have to offer the world isn't what they want. No, we want it here. Sometimes you just need somebody to be like, keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep on.
To encourage it.
Yeah. And that's the place. That's the reason. That's one of the reasons why I created House of Vibes, because it's just like, as a creative, for me in Atlanta, we had these spaces.
Yeah.
And they were safe havens for creatives. They were places where you could just be who you wanted to be, and people encouraged it and people supported it. And I saw that there were plenty of creatives around. I would run into them all the time. We see them all the time. They perform in front of restaurants, you know, they dance at the beach. You see creatives everywhere in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I felt like one of my callings was to create that here, because the fact that there isn't any creative space, not to this level, but that there's no creative space. So here I am, spirit waited, and it's like, I'm gonna drop it on you in 2022, in 2021, and you gonna create it.
Right.
And I'm very proud of the things that House has done. I'm very proud of the standards that we have set.
What are some of the things that the House of Vibes has done that you're like, wow, that's us?
Well, one thing we're very proud of is we are officially the first woman Black-owned recording studio in all of Mexico. Yes.
Not you being a history. I'm
Yes.
sitting on the couch with a history maker, y'all.
We're literally in history to say
Wow.
that we are the first Black woman-owned recording studio that has been established in Mexico, all of Mexico. And so when you make moves like that, you know, it hits a little bit.
Different.
It hit different. You know, Black women.
They gotta talk to you nice.
Right.
Okay?
Like, you gotta talk to me differently now. Like, I made history in another country. I move differently, but not in a boastful way. I'm still humble about it, but it's just like, I embrace that. At 33 years old, I made that type of history.
Yeah.
And this is only just the beginning.
That's incredible.
And I love to see people get excited off the beginning, because baby, wait till you see what happened in the future.
Ooh, I can't
You know
wait.
what I'm saying? It'll give you a little chill if you
Yes.
sit to it. You sit with it a little bit, it'll give you a little chill. But yeah, it has brought like a safe space. It hasn't been a time where someone has came in here and haven't felt their creativity unleashed. I've had people who come in here who say they haven't done their poetry or got into their art in years. And they come here and they feel inspired to do it. And I know with having those moments that I've created something great. I'm on the right path, because even when I have those moments of doubt, and trust me, you're gonna have them. They come. It comes with the territory of being an entrepreneur. It comes with the territory of following your passion and following what you're supposed to be doing in life. Even in those moments, I still keep going. And it's reasons like, it's me watching back videos when we packed this place out with 40 people. It's me, allowing the place to creatively pull somebody out of their dark space,
Yeah.
It's those things. It's these writings on the wall. Like, I made this intentional, and not just for me. It's also for people who come through and they actually see like what this place has inspired.
Yeah.
Other people to think. It's what they inspired to do. I've had people who started their singing and rapping careers just from coming in here, being inspired to just tap more into their creativity.
It's an energy that this space holds,
It
right?
does.
Because of the intentional choices that you made. That's incredible.
I've always kept creatives in thought. I always tell people, even when I first opened this, that I created this space, but this is for y'all. This is for you. I created this for y'all. This, for me, it's like I'm the gatekeeper. But y'all create what y'all want this to be.
Yeah. So you really allow the folks who come through to create their own experience and kind of choose their own adventure.
I do.
That's awesome.
And I support it.
So we know that so many people are coming here, and I'm sure that you've seen so many folks from the States and all over the world come through the House of Vibes. What do you think about what's happening now with the Blaxit movement, and where do you see it going?
I'm very proud of Black people for getting up and going. I am. I ain't gonna lie, it was a shock. Because what started off as this is now this. And I can't say it, like, every time I go outside, it's a new Black person. And I'm more excited to see Black people come into the realization that there's more to life than what they experience in the States. And embracing the expat lifestyle. I think it's growing into, us creating our tribe outside of the norm. I see the communities that it's creating. I see the support that it creates. I even see them, the Black community, embracing the locals. And the crazy part about it, the more we embrace it, the more we realize how connected we are.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy, from our history to our lifestyles to what we experience. It's on two different scales. Don't get me wrong. It's not. It's like we riding in the same. We riding two different lanes side by side.
Yeah.
And I want more of it. I want more people to come over here and experience this, even if it's temporary, just to say that you had an experience. But I'm gonna tell you now, like we all know, when you experience it once, you ain't gonna want to go back.
That's how it works.
You're not gonna go back.
Playa was supposed to be a 6-month experience for me.
And you're still here.
And here I am.
And you're still here.
And I'm still
here.
That's
how we do. It'll suck you in and keep you here. But it's because it shows you something totally different.
Yeah.
When you've been in a space where people have trained your mind to think that you gotta be incorporated and retire 65, and like, now you can come out here and live your best life. Like, you can come out here and really get in tune with yourself. Mm-hmm. You can get to a place where you can use your talents to support yourself. Like, you don't have to always depend on other people to do the things that you want to do.
Absolutely.
And I really hope that this wave that is happening continues to keep going, because it's needed.
Well, I think that you and the House of Vibes play a huge part in encouraging people to do that. And so I want to thank you for that and celebrate you, because you've been open. House of Vibes has been open for a little over a year now, right?
Yes, we made it past our year, October 24th. Man, that was something within itself. I was like, I made it past a year. Like, it was a little pat on the shoulder for me.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't have faith that I wouldn't make it. Like, I knew. But it's just to actually experience that moment. It's just like, oh, if I made it past the first year.
Ain't no stopping.
Ain't no stopping. That's it. I made it past the first year. Like, and I'm realizing no matter where a house is going, it's going to always be a house. Always. There always is going to be House of Vibes. I'm at that point to where I'm so invested and I'm so filled with this that I'm going to keep it going no matter what. This place can burn down. We're going to be on that sidewalk singing and clapping. That's what I'm saying. We'll take this little sign, dust it off real quick, put it on the
Find
tree.
a place to plug it up.
Put it on the tree. We about to have open mic on the sidewalk. What's up?
Wow.
I'm at that place.
You're that committed.
I'm that committed with it.
Yeah,
I am.
So earlier you mentioned that you were able to really discover yourself here and shed the layers of yourself that you felt like you had to put on in order to please other people, and in order to live up to other people's expectations. So who is Jasmine today?
Jasmine is vibrant. Jasmine is, and don't get me wrong, I'm still discovering her. I'm still figuring her out. We're talking about 31 years of having a mindset of a certain way, So it takes time to unfold that and peel off the layers of that. But I'm realizing I'm more vibrant. I'm more confident in myself. I'm more. I believe in myself a lot more. Like I trust myself. I'm starting to allow my intuition to guide me rather than my thoughts or my fears. It's beautiful. She's beautiful. Like, this Jasmine is old Jasmine. Don't get me wrong. She's still in there.
Look, don't wake her up.
Don't bring her up. She hibernated for a little while, but she's still in there. but I'm growing and loving this new me. I'm embracing her, no matter what comes from it. I'm really like, fuck with you.
Yeah.
Fuck with you. And then even just tapping into my spirituality. I didn't know what spirituality or spiritual journey was until I got here. And it's just the surroundings. It's the place that brings that out of you.
Yeah.
And
I tell
so-
people that all the time.
It's
There's something about this region.
It's strong.
The Riviera Maya has a strong spiritual. I can't even
describe it. You can just feel it. It's hard to describe, but it's there.
Yes.
It's there, and it embraces you with the warmest hug.
It does.
And it's just like, be who you want to be. Be who you need to be in order for you to be happy. So, my spiritual journey is still stringing along. You know, I'm getting into the shadow work. You know, working out those parts of me that I know need work.
Yeah.
I know. You know, for a long time I was like, no, that's not me. I am not like that. But it's just like, yes, you are. Yeah, you are. I'm right here. You can't, you know. So it's embracing that too. It's getting with the light and the dark side of me, and I'm liking it. I am. I'm not gonna lie. It's getting other people like, hey, what you knew before ain't who you know now.
This new me, who this?
Hello. New phone. What's up?
That's right.
You know, it's one of them. So, yeah.
So, of all the things that you've been able to accomplish, which is a lot,
Yeah.
what are you the most proud of?
The most proud of making that move. I really am. I'm proud of myself for taking that risk. That was a heavy risk. That was a heavy risk. That could have went real bad. Real bad, real fast. But I'm very proud of trusting in myself to take that move. Because even this is a beautiful place. Granted, it is. If I didn't make that move, this wouldn't be here.
Right.
If I didn't take that step of faith, we wouldn't have a House of Vibes in Mexico. So that's my proudest moment. That is in making a decision to step into myself. Like, step into it. Like, I always knew it. It's like looking at yourself from the outside, and you're just like, I know I can be that person. Like, you feel it, you see it, you smell it, breathe it, eat it, but you just
still a little bit
it's like
separated from it.
You
then
are.
You step into it, and it's like you become one.
It's a whole nother world. It's like stepping through a door. It's a whole nother world. And so I've come to the realization of really accepting what I did and realizing the impact that it had, not just on me, but on other people. Like, life will go on, right? But life's a little bit different now that there's a House of Vibes here.
Yeah.
It moves a little. The city itself moves a little bit different. You know, for people who know this, it's here. So, yeah, that decision, my proudest moment.
So, what's next for you?
Ooh. For me or like for House?
Both.
For me, my entrepreneurship has taken off. I just want to say that. It has, the moment I open this, ain't no stopping me down. Ain't no stopping me down. I have built up a nice little, entrepreneur portfolio. I have land now in Bacalar. I have land in Belize. I've started 2 other ventures here. I don't know what's new for me. I've stopped anticipating the future so that I can enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
I know there's great things coming because, I'm doing the things that I need to do in order to see those great things, but I kind of just go with the flow at this point. Because I have everything that I want at this moment. There's always a want for something more, right? But I'm like, the more, because I realized the old Jas would just focus on the future and never enjoy the moment. So I was like, all right, Jasmine, you're in a good spot. You're in a good place. Take it step by step and enjoy every step that you take. So that's why I am personally House. If you love it now, if you like it now, you're going to love it later.
Oh my goodness.
So
what can you share with us?
What can I share? So I'll share with y'all what we'll be doing this year. There's 2 big things that we're doing this year. We're going on a tour. We are partnering with some other creative events and partners and businesses all across Mexico. So we're going to be doing a HOV takeover tour, where we're taking some of the creatives from here and we're going back to their hometowns. And, we're kind of showing like, hey, this is what we've been doing. This is what we're doing in Playa. Our first stop will be in Mexico City. And then we're going to Oaxaca, and then we're actually going to take it over to the States.
So a world tour.
Yeah, it's going to be, technically it's the world tour. It's an international tour. And we're going to be setting up in a couple of places, and we're still finalizing the details, but we're going to Atlanta, of course. I gotta go back to the A.
Come on now.
We're going to the city of creatives. We're going to New Orleans.
Oh, yes.
Going to New Orleans. We're going back to my hometown, Miami. And then we're going to go we're going to Chicago. Like, Chicago's in the work and things like that. The other huge thing that's happening is we are throwing our first festival at the end of this year. It's official. It's official. We have a location. It's official. I'm super excited about it.
I'm excited.
So it's going to be the first independent creative festival hosted in Playa. Yeah, you want to be there. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna be there. I don't know about anybody else, but I will be there.
You want to. Trust me. Trust me. You want to be there. I will be starting my own podcast, so we're gonna be switching seats.
Okay.
It's called Girls Smoke Blunts Too, and it is about women who we talk about subjects that the world think is uncomfortable, that women shouldn't talk about, and we just be 100% blunt about it. So I will be inviting some people out to have those conversations, and that's going to be very interesting.
Time.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
That's going to be a good time.
I'm ready for it. I got something to say. I got something to say. Trust me. And I'm pretty sure there's a few of us that do.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people that with a lot to say.
You know. But yeah, those are the great things that are happening this year. But
this year alone.
Oh,
you booked and busy.
Yeah, booked and busy.
Yes.
Booked and busy. I gotta stay busy. I gotta stay on it because it's always something great. Spirit is always dropping gems on me.
Yeah.
So, and all these things are visions.
And thank you for just your openness to have this conversation, to share your journey. I know that it's not always easy to kind of recount the hard times, but there's somebody that needs to hear what you've been able to accomplish from where you started and where you're headed, right? This isn't even the end. This is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg.
We didn't even crack the surface, y'all.
Come on now.
They didn't even, ding, that's it. We did nothing. And got a little scratch on it right now. Like, we didn't even bust open the surface. Y'all just wait, follow, keep it, just keep up.
Well, I have a feeling that I'm going to be having many of these conversations with you as you continue to grow and expand. And I'll just say that I have enjoyed witnessing your journey and I've been inspired by it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope this inspires other people to get up and get going. Like,
so where can people connect with you and the House of Vibes? Because when people come to Playa, I want it to be such that they have not visited this city unless they've come through the House of Vibes.
Well, you can follow us on Instagram at Haus of Vibes MX. So HAUSOFVIBES MX, and it's the same on Facebook. We have a YouTube that we're going to start, doing some things on. It's Haus of Vibes MX on there as well. Yeah, those are.
And do you have a website where people can go and check out the space?
HouseOfVibesMX.com.
All right. House of Vibes.
House of Vibes.
Thank you so much, Jas.
Thank you, Courtney. Let me tell you something. Only you, girl. Only you. Only you.
Well, I feel special and stuff and whatnot.
You should. I'm telling you.
Not me getting the exclusives.
Let me tell you something. I don't do cameras.
No, you did. Y'all, wasn't this an amazing conversation?
Okay.
That's a lot to do. Sit there and do that.
He did it for an hour.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Didn't seem like
this is Courtney.
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, this lady right here. Yeah, no, y'all did.
At some point we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what we wanted.
Yeah.
Right? We wanted, 'cause we got good stuff. We got good stuff.
Thank
that
you
a wrap?
for taking the time to do this.
Is that a wrap? It's a wrap. Thank you so much.